Have you ever heard of Atlantis? It's that legendary city that supposedly disappeared under the ocean thousands of years ago. People have been searching for it for ages, but what if Atlantis was more than just a myth? What if it actually existed over 12,000 years ago?
My interest in Atlantis didn't start with a history lesson or a documentary. It began when I discovered a person named Matthias de Stefano. He believes he can remember his past lives, and in one of those lives, he lived in Atlantis.
When I was born in the colony of Atlantis, I remembered everything we could possibly know about Atlantis, about our mother civilization, through the stories of my grandfather in that life.
Matthias describes Atlantis as a place where people had advanced knowledge and technology that we can hardly imagine today. His stories got me thinking, what if there's more to the story of Atlantis than we've been told? I know the idea of past lives can be a bit hard to wrap your head around. A lot of people find it pretty far-fetched, and that's understandable. But I've come across some stories that make you wonder if there might be something to it. If you're interested in learning more about past lives, let me know in the comments. Take, for example, Zé Arrigo, a man from Brazil who claimed to channel the spirit of a German doctor, or Edgar Cayce, who, under hypnosis, spoke about Atlantis, as if he had lived there. Then there's Dorothy Eady, who remembered details of a past life in ancient Egypt that historians found surprisingly accurate. These stories made me think about our history in a different way. What if the timeline of human civilization is a lot older than we think? What if, more than 12,000 years ago, there was a civilization that was more advanced than we've ever imagined? The most famous story of Atlantis comes from the Greek philosopher Plato. He wrote about it in Timaeus and Critias, describing it as a powerful civilization that existed 9,000 years before his time. Plato said Atlantis was a huge island beyond the Pillars of Hercules, rich in resources and knowledge. But because of its moral decline, it was destroyed by a disaster and sank into the ocean. Plato's writings are where the search for Atlantis begins. But the mystery doesn't stop there. Many cultures around the world have their own stories of great floods that wiped out entire civilizations. Could these stories be connected to the destruction of Atlantis? In the Epic of Gilgamesh from Mesopotamia, there's a story of a great flood, just like in the Hindu legend of Manu, and of course, the story of Noah's Ark in the Bible. These stories, while different, have a lot in common. Could they all be different versions of the same event? Maybe even the destruction of Atlantis? Some people think Atlantis wasn't just one island. It could have been an entire empire with colonies all over the world. Some believe the remains of Atlantis might be found in places like the Portuguese and Canarian Islands. Others think it could have been a network of cities connected by shared knowledge and culture. While most people think of Atlantis as being somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, there are theories that it was much more widespread. In its prime, Atlantis might have been the center of a global civilization. The more I've looked into it, the more I'm convinced that there could be something real behind the story of Atlantis. Recent discoveries, like Göbekli Tepe, show us that human civilization might be much older than we thought. These discoveries challenge what we know and open up the possibility that there was once a civilization far more advanced than we've ever imagined. If Atlantis did exist, finding evidence of it could change everything we know about our history and how we see the world.